So let's get into George Brauchler's record. Let's get into George Brauchler's record a little bit. We're going to relitigate both the Aurora shooting and the Columbine shootings. Both of them are horrible tragedies. I don't think anybody's arguing that point. Now, the problem, this is probably going to piss off some of my liberal friends, but I am pro Second Amendment and I am pro death penalty. So George Brauchler bungled the Aurora shooter's case. He bungled James Holmes's case. He wasn't able to get the death penalty for James Holmes, and you can't get much more heinous of a crime than what James Holmes did. James Holmes deserves death. He deserves the death penalty. But because of the way George Brauchler had prosecuted the case, I think that's the reason why he didn't get the death penalty. And then Nugent is sitting there bragging about George Brauchler's pro-Second Amendment bona fides. Well, he's got piss poor Second Amendment bona fides. Okay? He isn't... I am more for the Second Amendment than George Brauchler is. He's an opportunist. And we don't have to go much farther than the Columbine shootings. So he was the lead prosecutor for James Holmes, and then he brags about negotiating the only plea bargain that led to the only felony convictions for the Columbine shootings. So Eric and Dylan, they committed suicide. So they went in there, they killed all those people, but then they committed suicide. But Brauchler, and because the public still had that bloodlust, because those Columbine terrorists had killed themselves, the authorities needed to punish somebody, anybody, and so they went after one of the gun suppliers. Only one of the gun suppliers, okay? And they let all the other gun suppliers go, scot-free. I mean, who gave the 9/11 hijackers their box cutters? Who gave them financing? We don't even allow Saudi Arabia to be sued in court for financing the 9/11 terrorist. And yet they're going to go after Mark E. Maines. And these guys are actually already out. But let's break this down, okay? So here's what George Brauchler did. So you got two dumb fuck Columbine kids, right? An 18-year-old and a 17-year-old. They had 4 guns, 2 guns apiece. The firearms that they used, one of them was an Intratec Tech DC-9 assault pistol. A Tech 9. It's an assault pistol, so it's an automatic pistol, so it's it's a powerful little gun, and then this is the gun that Mark E. Maines is going to get fucked over for because he had helped purchase that gun for them. Now you have a high point 9mm carbine, a light automatic rifle. So you got a rifle, a light automatic, so it's semi-automatic probably, right? So not full blown. You don't just go right. You'd have to shoot, pull the trigger each time. And then there's 2 shotguns. One Savage 67H pump action shotgun, and then a Savage 311D 12 gauge shotgun. So a pump action shotgun, and then just a regular shotgun. You had a rifle, and then you had the automatic pistol. Those are the 4 guns that they had. They also had 99 explosives, and they had 4 knives. So 99 explosives. Where did they get the explosives from? Where did they get those knives from? The guy who gave them the Tech 9 assault pistol, he's going to go to jail for 6 years, I think. But what about the person that supplied the Columbine shooters with the high point 9mm carbine? Who gave them the rifle? And who gave them the 2 shotguns? Well, the lady who got the rifle and the 2 shotguns, Robin Anderson, she got away scot-free. She got away scot-free. So go to Columbine. You got these 2 kids. They killed lots of people. I want to say 12 people. And then a teacher, 13 total, something like that. So they killed lots of people, but then they killed themselves. And what was actually interesting when I was rereading all this stuff, they killed themselves at like just after noon, but the cops don't storm the building until an hour, 2 or 3 later. They're already dead. They already blew their own heads off, and still the authorities are waiting to get into the school, and lots of people had died due to them waiting like that. So Mark E. Maines is the man who sold Dylan Klebold the single pistol. That Tech 9 It's a high-powered pistol, but that's what he did. He sold them one of the 4 guns, and Marky Maines was sentenced to 6 years in prison. He got 6 years. 6 years for selling a gun to Klebold, to a minor. So because he sold a gun, and then also for gun possession. He wasn't allowed to have the gun. He had possessed it when they went to the shooting range at one point. And then he sold them this gun. Now, Robin Anderson, she had the guns, you know, all in her possession at one point or another. She's the one that actually bought them at a straw purchase at a gun show, the Tanner Gun Show. And yet, she didn't get any charges. In fact, since she was a state witness, she immediately got immunity. So that's interesting. The beautiful 17-year-old girlfriend of the Columbine shooters automatically got immunity. Why? Because some horny-ass cop hurried up and gave her immunity. Oh, we'll give you immunity. Just tell us everything you know. It'll be okay. Don't you worry. We'll take care of you. Marky Maines and Philip Duran. Philip Duran also got fucked over, too, by George Brauchler. So they went ahead and gave immunity to Robin Anderson, who provided 75% of the guns, 3 of the 4 guns to the Columbine shooters. She gets immunity. She doesn't get in trouble for any of this stuff. Marky Maines, who sold them 1 pistol, the Tech 9, he goes to jail for 6 years, and then they try to make it sound like the judge was being merciful because he could have thrown Marky Maines into prison for 18 years. So this horrible tragedy happens. Then the 2 people who killed all the people killed themselves. Well, you can't really do much. It's like 9/11 in that sense, too. They flew the plane in there, and they died in the plane. You're mad about it. You're angry. You want to punish somebody. And so they went after not all the gun suppliers, because it wasn't just the one gun supplier. It wasn't just Marky Maines that provided the guns for the Columbine shooters, but you also had one of the cops. One of the cops had actually murdered the kid. They shot one of the kids. So where did that cop, the Denver police officer who shot one of the kids, where did he get his gun from? And then these other 3 guns, we know exactly who got these guns. So the Marky Maines could have been thrown in prison for 18 years, but we went ahead and we were merciful, right? George Brauchler was merciful. George Brauchler is an opportunist. George Brauchler is one of those guys that if you're faced with the prosecutor, the kind of prosecutor that he is he will hurt as many people as he can. He will throw as many people in jail because in his mind, the more people that he convicts and throws in jail, the better of a job that he's doing. But see, that's the thing, is he's not principled. He's not principled. He doesn't say to himself, well, I'm not going to go after the gun suppliers. If I go after Marky Maines, well, then I got to go after Robin Anderson. If I go after Marky Maines, then when it comes to the Aurora shooter, I'm going to have to go after the Bass Pro Shops. I'm going to have to go to those other 2 gun stores that the Aurora shooter went to. I'm going to have to go after the gun suppliers. But he didn't go after the gun suppliers with the Aurora shooting. He didn't go after the gun suppliers with the Denver police. He didn't go after the gun suppliers with Robin Anderson, who give Eric Harris all of his guns. So all of the people that Eric Harris had killed, if that's the logic that we're going to use, Marky Maines sells Dylan Klebold a single pistol. So he sold a 17-year-old the Tech 9, and then this 17-year-old took that Tech 9 and did all this heinous shit. Now, conservatives, they typically say that it's people who kill people. Guns don't kill people, people kill people. So it was Dylan Klebold who murdered those people. So what does Marky Maines have to do with it? He doesn't have anything to do with it. He bought them this pistol. It was Dylan that killed the people, and then Dylan killed himself. But since he killed himself, there's still this bloodlust, there's still this anger. Well, we got to nail somebody to the wall. So Marky Maines goes to jail for 6 years. Then they go after Philip Duran. Okay, if we couldn't make it any more ridiculous, this isn't even a man who supplied the gun. All Philip Duran did was introduce Klebold and Eric Harris to Marky Maines. That's all he did. He introduced them. He introduced them. So for Bass Pro Shops, you know, if you were to compare it to the Aurora shooting, they should have been convicted for supplying the guns, and then their marketing and all the TV people that promoted their advertisements should have been it too, because they were the ones responsible for the meeting of James Holmes and Bass Pro Shops. Who arranged that meeting? Who arranged the meeting for the Denver police officer to get his gun? The chief of police. So he introduced him. That's what Philip Duran's crime was. Introducing Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold to Mark E. Maines, and then Mark E. Maines sold the gun for about $500. Philip Duran goes to jail for 4.5 years. 4.5 years just for introducing the gun supplier to the shooters. He's not even part of the thing at all. He didn't handle the gun. He didn't talk to the gun. He just knew the guy, and he arranged them to meet. They're already both out. Mark E. Maines and Philip Duran are both out. And I hope they believe what I believe, that this is bullshit, that this is hypocrisy. So even if the liberals are mad at me for being for the death penalty or pro-gun, pro-Second Amendment, you don't have to, but you should appreciate this hypocrisy. What a fucking hypocrite. He is not principled. George Brauchler doesn't say we never go after gun suppliers. He says we go after whoever the fuck we can go after. Whoever we can get stupid enough, poor enough to accept a fucking plea bargain, who doesn't fight back, who doesn't have a lawyer, who can't fight this case, who doesn't have enough money. So just for arranging the meeting for Marky Maines and Klebold, Philip Duran got 4.5 fucking years in prison. 4.5 years in prison. Meanwhile, this Ricky Muniz got shot 2 years ago. That guy gets 14 years in prison, right? For actually cold-blooded murder. Philip Duran wasn't a cold-blooded murderer. He didn't supply the weapons. He didn't supply the gun. He just said, hey, person A, here is person B. That's it. And then he walks off. That's enough to get him thrown in fucking prison. So that's such bullshit. This just shows you that, he's not a pro-Second Amendment person. Ted Nugent is talking about how good he is because he's, in favor of carry concealed. I do believe a responsible gun owning public is a more safer public in general. I do believe that. And so for him to go after, the gun suppliers, it just shows that he has a lack of principles. He's going after them because he can, and he got away with it, but he didn't go after any of the other gun suppliers, including the biggest one, the big fish, Robin Anderson. Robin Anderson. So, that's, I'll talk about that in a second, but Philip Duran, he helped with the introduction. He's charged with providing a gun to a minor. Which, why? Just because he introduced the meeting? A 17-year-old's a minor, yeah, but he was only a minor until September. The other guy was an 18-year-old, right? Eric Harris is 18. Dylan Klebold is 17, only for about 5 more months. April, May, June, July, August, September. So 5 months away from being 18. And yet, even though it was illegal for Philip Duran to arrange that meeting between Marky Maines and Dylan Klebold to sell him that automatic pistol, that Tech 9, for $500, it was illegal for Philip Duran to arrange that meeting. But it was legal for Robin Anderson to do it. It was okay for Robin Anderson to buy a minor a gun. Providing a gun to a minor carries a maximum sentence of 6 years in prison and a $500,000 fine. So actually, there was no mercy there. They gave him 6 fucking years. Marky Maines got the full 6 years. I don't know if he got fined a $500,000 or not, but that's the maximum. That Robin Anderson committed the same crime, but Robin Anderson didn't get in trouble for it. Philip Duran is also accused of possessing a dangerous or illegal weapon, which also carried a maximum 3-year prison term and a $3,000 fine. So they're going after, he had a gun that he wasn't supposed to have. He had nothing to do with the fucking shooting. He barely had anything to do with the purchase of the weapon, and yet he's going to jail for 4.5 years. But Robin Anderson, not Robin Anderson, not privileged Robin Anderson, no. She bought both Eric Harris's gun, his double barrel and his carbine. She bought that 9mm high point carbine, that rifle. She bought the shotgun and the rifle that Eric Harris used the entire time. So every person that Eric Harris killed would be Robin Anderson. That would be put on the feet of Robin Anderson, right? You're going to say that Mark E. Maines is guilty of all the people that James Holmes shot because he provided the gun. Then Robin Anderson is also guilty of the exact same thing. All of Eric Harris's kills, including Dylan Klebold, half of his kills, right? He had the Tech 9 in one hand, but he had the shotgun that Robin Anderson provided him in the other hand. Robin Anderson, she bought both of those guns for Eric Harris, bought him his rifle, bought him the shotgun. Dylan Klebold, he had a long barrel gun. She remembered that he couldn't even fit it into his dresser drawer. It was too long. Robin Anderson provided 3 out of the 4 guns that they used. Therefore, 75% of the guns used in the Columbine massacre, 75% of the guns that the trench coat mafia had used to kill all those innocent kids came from Robin Anderson. So if that's what we're saying, that gun suppliers are responsible for the deaths of the gun users, then Robin Anderson is responsible for all of the 8 or 9 deaths that Eric Harris committed, and then probably half of the 4 or 5 of Dylan Klebold's body count. That's at least 10 deaths that can be traced to the guns she provided for the trench coat mafia. 10 deaths. 10 of them. But yet, Robin Anderson somehow got immunity. She didn't go to jail for 6 years like Marky Maines did, or 4.5 years like Philip Duran did. She got no time. She got in no trouble. She was protected from the very beginning. So, even if you think that gun suppliers should be responsible for it, the inconsistency and the hypocrisy of George Brauchler's policy, it's totally inconsistent. He's a total hypocrite. So, one more time, and I'm going to go through the list. You want to solve the notoriety problem? You don't want James Holmes and, Klebold and Harris to get all this attention? Well, you elevate the victims. That's how you get rid of their notoriety. You make the victims notorious. You give them some publicity. And it's up to the survivors anyways to get justice for the victims and to remember their legacies. Those are the 2 things. Get justice, remember their legacy. So, Robin Anderson bought 75% of the weapons used at the Columbine massacre. Both Eric Harris's guns came from her. He killed 8 of the 13 victims killed. Klebold killed 4. Eric Harris killed 8. And James Taylor, a Denver police officer, killed 1. So, that's the 13 victims killed. Klebold killed 4, so she would be responsible for 2 of them. All of Eric Harris's kills, all 8 of them, is on Robin Anderson's shoulders. So actually, Marky Maines, he's responsible for 2 deaths. So the man who provided the gun that's responsible for 2 deaths, he goes to prison for 6 years. The man who arranged that meeting goes to prison for 4.5 years. But the woman who provided 75% of the guns, which killed 10 people died because of Robin Anderson's supplying. If we're going to assume that the logic Brauchler used with Marky Maines is true, which I don't believe, but Marky Maines goes to jail for providing 1 gun of the 4. Robin Anderson provides 3 of those 4 guns, 75%, 10 of the people that got killed with the guns she supplied, and yet she doesn't get in trouble whatsoever. And what she did was straight up illegal. She bought it as a straw purchase to duck the law, to get a minor a gun at the Tanner Gun Show in December 1998. So she goes to the Tanner Gun Show in December of 1998, 4 months prior to the senseless Columbine massacre. And yet, Philip Duran, all they did was meet. That's all he did was arrange a meeting. And then Harris and Klebold, they constructed 99 IEDs, improvised explosive devices, using instructions from the internet. Apparently the Anarchist Cookbook, but none of those bombs actually went off, or they were really crappy bombs, just propane bombs. And I don't know where they had all this stuff. 99 bombs. So they sawed off the barrels of their shotguns and the butts to make them easier to conceal. They had some knives. That was the total, arsenal of the Columbine shooters. The Tanner Gun Show didn't get in trouble, nor the dealer. We don't even know who the dealer was. So she makes a straw purchase from unknown dealer, who actually the original supplier of the 3 guns that Robin buys. She buys the guns and then gives them to the minors. She bought them illegally in order to give it to them because apparently they weren't allowed to. Now, James Holmes, he bought all his guns legally. Is that better? Is that somehow better? It's like, well, he had to go through a guy to get a gun. And he was 17. He's a minor. Oh, he's just a little baby now. A little bitty baby, right? And, but yet, if you would have waited a year, he could have got all the guns that he wanted because he had no record. So he could have got all the guns that he wanted. So the Tanner Gun Show doesn't get in trouble. The dealer that sold Robin Anderson didn't get in trouble, nor the internet, right, that provided all the ingredients for the IEDs. Nobody on there got in trouble. These are all the same crimes that Marky Maines and Philip Duran committed, the ones that they went to jail for over 10 years. Even though they are more guilty. They're more guilty. The Bass Pro Shops nor the two Gander Mountain stores that James Holmes bought his weapons went to jail either. So none of the other gun suppliers get in trouble. The two Gander Mountain stores, the Bass Pro Shops, the three places James Holmes bought his weapons at, nor the Tanner Gun Show, nor the dealer there, nor the internet, nor the Robin Anderson. And then it happens, right? April 20th, 1999, the day of the massacre, Eric Harris had a 12-gauge Savage Springfield 67H pump-action shotgun, which he shot 25 times, and a high-point 995 carbine 9mm, which he shot 96 times. So that's nearly 125 shots from weapons provided by Robin Anderson. She provided Eric Harris with both his Savage pump-action shotgun and the carbine 9mm rifle. So Dylan Klebold was equipped with a Intratec Tech 9 semi-automatic handgun that he shot 55 times. It was sold to him by Marky Maines, the pizza shop employee. So he's just working at a pizza place. That's who Mark E. Maines is. They go after the poor pizza employee. That's who goes to fucking jail for Columbine. That's who was blamed for Columbine. Not the shitty parents, not the school system, not anybody that was influencing them. Nobody else goes to jail, right, but the Marky Maines. Now, and the amount of shots, so there was a sawed-off shotgun, 12-gauge Stevens, double-barreled sawed-off shotgun. Klebold shot 12 times. He shot 55 times with that Tech 9. And then Robin Anderson is the one that bought the 12-gauge double-barreled shotgun for Dylan Klebold. So his Tech 9 probably did shoot a bunch, but he killed 4 people. Klebold shot and killed 4 people. Any of those 12 shots from that shotgun would be attributed to Robin Anderson. She's the one that provided that gun. And so I just split the difference, and I just assumed there's 4 that was killed. So 2 with the shotgun, 2 with the Tech 9. And that's pretty pathetic, to be honest with you. He's shot 55 times with the Tech 9. Anyways, so Klebold, it didn't seem like he actually wanted to. He was promising, right? Eric Harris had no future, but Klebold, he had a future. Anyways, Robin Anderson bought both guns that Eric Harris used, the pump-action shotgun and the 9mm high-point carbine rifle. Eric Harris shot more bullets than Dylan Klebold. Eric shot 121 bullets total. Dylan shot 67, 12 of which was from the shotgun Robin Anderson bought for him. Eric Harris also killed more people. He killed 8. Klebold killed 4. And then James Taylor. We cannot forget about James Taylor. He's a Denver police officer on the scene, and he killed Daniel Roball. Daniel Roball got a bullet from James Taylor. So he's a Denver police officer. He had a pistol. Where did James Taylor get that pistol from? Who arranged that meeting? The police chief? Who gave James Taylor his weapon that he used to kill a kid? Daniel Roball. But not only did James Taylor not get convicted because George Brauchler would never go after the thin blue line, the white-collar mafia, they're on one side of the law, and then the rest of us are on the other side. So a cop murders a kid, that's okay, right? They can say, well, he was aiming for the other guy. Yeah, he was aiming for him, and he missed, and he killed a kid. And so he didn't get in trouble, nor did his supplier of the gun get in trouble. He didn't get in any trouble whatsoever. So, again, more inconsistency, more hypocrisy. Robin Anderson was Dylan Klebold's prom date. She was his date. That's who Dylan Klebold loved the most. And yet she gets away with it scot-free. Are we sure she didn't know what the hell was going on? We'll never know. Because some fucking horny cop hurriedly gave her immunity for her testimony. Marky Maines and Philip Duran both were cooperative with the police, but their cooperation was turned against them, and then that's how they were convicted. They just weren't cute enough. Robin Anderson bought guns for a minor. So let's go through some of the victims, okay? So to There's a lot of people that died in Columbine. So who died in Columbine? 12 students and 1 teacher. The students that Eric Harris killed, so all these are Robin Anderson kills. Guns provided by Robin Anderson. Rachel Joy Scott, 17-year-old Rachel Joy Scott was killed by Eric Harris. She had a diary. Some people have compared Rachel Joy Scott to Anne Frank. So, she died by Eric Harris's hands. The teacher, William David Sanders, 48 years old. He had a wife, 4 kids, 5 grandkids. He was killed by Eric Harris. Then you had Stephen Kernell. So, Stephen Kernell was 15 years old. He liked sports, and he was shot with a sawed-off shotgun in the neck. That's Eric Harris. Eric Harris says peekaboo before he shot Cassie Bernal in the head. 17-year-old Cassie Bernal got shot in the head by Eric Harris. 19-year-old Isaiah Scholes, he's an aspiring comedian. He was killed by Eric Harris. 19-year-old Isaiah Scholes murdered by Eric Harris. Eric Harris, he's a coward. He shot Kelly Fleming in the back. And Kelly Fleming, she liked to write happy poetry. That's who Kelly Fleming was. But Kelly Fleming is now dead because of Eric Harris. Robin Anderson gave Eric Harris his guns and killed all these people. Marky Maines had nothing to do with any of these people having to die. Corey D. Pooter was a 17-year-old. He loved inline skating. He was killed by Eric Harris also. There was 16-year-old Daniel Mosser, and he was on the debate team. He was the 8th victim of Eric Harris, 16 years old. He had pushed the chair in front of him, and we don't know if it was an accident, if he was trying to trip him up or what he was doing, but as soon as he pushed the chair, he got shot in the face. So Eric Harris killed 16-year-old Daniel Mosser, killed Corey DePuter, 17-year-old. He killed Kelly Fleming, shot her in the back. She loved to write happy poetry. Isaiah Scholes, an aspiring comedian, got shot and killed by Eric Harris. Cassie Bernal got shot in the head. 17-year-old Cassie Bernal. 15-year-old Stephen Kernell got shot with a shotgun. He loved sports. The teacher, 48-year-old teacher who pushed all the students out of the cafeteria. He saved untold lives that day. He got murdered and killed by Eric Harris. And then Rachel Joy Scott. So those are the 8 victims. Those are the 8 victims that came from the gun of Robin Anderson. And yet she doesn't get in any trouble whatsoever. The victims of Dylan Klebold and he's a racist. Dylan Klebold, right before he kills the black person, he said some epithet. So I assume the N-word, right? Get out of here. He was hiding under the table. Come out here, you nigger. And then he didn't do it. And then eventually the other guy shoots him. But he's a white supremacist, right? A white supremacist loves guns. Dylan Klebold has more in common with Ted Nugent than what he does with me. So, white supremacist has all these guns. He kills 17-year-old Kyle Velasquez. They called him a big teddy bear. Matthew Ketchter was 17 years old. 18-year-old Lauren Townsend. And then 17-year-old John Tomlin. Those are the 4 that was killed by Dylan Klebold. Which one of those were killed by the Mac 9 or the whatever that automatic handgun was? That would be the people, the Tech 9. So who got shot by the Tech 9 out of his hands? We don't know. So split the difference. Let's say 2. Then that means the other 2 were killed by Robin Anderson's gun. Then you had Daniel Rohrbough's, R-O-H-R-B-O-U-G-H. Now Daniel Rohrbough's, both Harris and Klebold had shot him, but the cop shot him too. So who was the kill shot? We don't know, but we did find out that James Taylor had said that he shot him, and then he pretended that he didn't shoot him. And so he started lying about it. The Denver police officer who had a gun. So he shot, and I don't know if he was the kill shot for Daniel Rohrbaugh, but he was one of the bullets that was in Daniel Rohrbaugh too. So who supplied Daniel Taylor with his guns? So that's, Klebold was 17. He would become 18 in 5 months, from then. Marky Maines, a pizza shop employee. He's the one that gets fucked over. Philip Duran goes to jail for 4.5 years just for arranging the meeting. I can't believe they accepted these plea bargain agreements. Why didn't they fight it? Maybe they just didn't have the money. So that's wonderful. Go against the state who's got unlimited pockets with our tax dollars to fuck us over, and then he doesn't even have enough money to put up a valid defense, a strong enough defense. So Robin Anderson was privileged. She was privileged. Marky Maines and Philip Duran, they were cooperative with the police. They were cooperative with the police. So I'm going to come back and I'm going to talk a little bit about James Holmes coming up.